I do not want them to nerf this boss fight. I'm going to be an elitist here. Y'all need to learn how to play it.
Clutch Squad, welcome back on into the Perkaholics Anonymous podcast for episode number 21. Today, it's Jeff, MZC, back coming at you with Black Ops 7 Zombies, opening weekend thoughts, Ashes of the Damned, opening weekend thoughts. We're going to talk it all. We're going to talk Old Tessie. We're going to talk Necrofluid Gauntlet. We're going to talk Vatherion. We're going to talk gunplay. We're going to talk map, aura, storyline, everything here.
Cursed, Van Dorn Farm survival, everything. Oh, you're being a little quiet. I want to get fucking excited. This game's fucking. This is great. This is great. Great game. Great game.
Jeez, I'm not. I don't know if I'm going to be able to match this energy. MZC, what? Give us a breakdown here. You've been playing this game. You've been grinding the hell out of it. Just tell us, how are you feeling? How are you doing? How is everything Black Ops 7 Zombies going?
It's early, but I'm going to be, very optimistic about this game, especially seeing the community's reaction over on Twitter, as well as just popping in people's streams and seeing how they've been enjoying the game. Always want to be reserved. It's still Sunday right now. The game's been out for a couple of days. Easter egg's been out for 2 days, but dude, I am hooked on this game. I'm hooked on the big map. I'm hooked on Ashes of the Damned, which is something I actually wasn't last year. When we were doing the camo grind last year, it was Liberty Falls, Liberty Falls, Liberty Falls. Maybe you switch over for some specific challenges for Terminus, or, maybe you just get over there to play a little bit. But this time around, I'm forcing myself to play Van Dorn Farm when I'm doing camos and stuff, just because that's obviously the optimal way to do it. There's not as big of a setup. You can get things done a lot quicker over there. But I am fiending for Ashes of the Damned. It is that good, man. It really is a fantastic experience and an even better map.
And honestly, the one thing that there really can't be any complaints about with this launch, I think, is the unanimous thought is that, and what I'm most excited about is we're going to have to come back for another episode just to basically talk about Cursed. Yeah. I think, we're not even going to be able to get into that today because, all transparency, I haven't even hopped into the mode. I've been camo grinding, first prestige grinding, probably going to finish that up tonight and get into the first prestige and doing the Easter egg and helping MZC with behind the scenes stuff. That is how much content is on this game, guys. So I think that's kind of the first thing to start off with for me, is this is the zombies mode alone is, worth the price of admission, is worth the experience. We're going to talk about a lot of different stuff today, like I said, but Black Ops 7 Zombies, it's fresh to me, MZC. I get that people are hesitant. Oh, is this a DLC? Is this Black Ops 6 2.0? There are going to be some aspects of this. I think this is going to be an exciting episode because, not to toot our own horn, but I feel like me and you were kind of vindicated because this is pretty much everything we expected it to be fundamentally as far as Black Ops 7 Zombies, but the story, Ashes of the Damned, everything past that has over-delivered. You're going to get a lot of the repetitive things that we saw in Black Ops 6. That was always going to be a given, though, guys. Augments, gobblegums, things of that nature. You get new guns, you get new character crew interactions, even though the Terminus crew does come over. You have Richtofen and the guys back and welcome to the party and all that stuff. But how are you feeling as far as this brand new mode of Black Ops 7 Zombies and just the experience in general compared to what we saw in Black Ops 6?
Really quick, I think the character quotes, especially for the original characters and Ted, are fantastic.
Amazing.
Last year, if you played as Brutus or Klaus, there was no Easter egg quotes. There were no little side things. They were just pretty basic quotes. But when you repair Tessie as Ted, it's I didn't think I'd come to my own rescue. And they actually talk back and forth like it's two different heads talking to each other. So that's just something that I didn't expect at all, that I was super blown away with.
Dude, Dempsey is so funny. Dempsey's literally hilarious. I can't stop playing as him because he's literally so funny. He's so intentionally and unintentionally funny throughout the egg. He's literally peaking. It's so good.
That's what my next point was going to be. Is last night you, me, and two of our buddies, Rapid and Mike, we did the Easter egg 4-player just to kind of get the full experience, because we'll talk about this a little bit later when we get into the actual egg itself. But it seems like this entire map is been geared and built towards playing with friends, playing in co-op, and kind of having that bigger zombies map with multiple people traveling around with Tessie experience. The quotes between them are fantastic. They're great. They're so much better than they were last year. There's none of this player on comms talking to the characters where you have Peck Strauss and Ravenau, up in the chopper or whatever, and that's like the majority of the dialogue for the map. Like, it's back. Like the talking between the characters is back, and it honestly just is so refreshing to play that way. I have not, disclaimer, I haven't played as like the Terminus crew at all this year so far, so I don't know anything about their quotes. I don't know anything about like how they interact with the new crew or how they interact with each other. It'll be interesting to kind of get that experience. But if they do have a ton of new voice clips, just like the old Primus crew, whatever we're calling them this time around, or Ted do, like it's going to be a lot of just like immersion. It's really nice that we didn't have last year. But dude, again, it's early, but if this trend keeps up, and I want to pull up this quote here in a minute, I didn't save it for the doc, but there's a quote from Kevin Drew talking about Astra Malorum. But if this kind of like content keeps up throughout the year, and these are the types of maps that we get, there's rumored, again, grain of salt, okay, I gotta take everything with a grain of salt when it comes to rumors, that there are going to be 5 DLC maps, and if they're all on the level of this, on top of the survival maps that we're going to be getting, like, this is going to be just like a full-fledged year of content. This is what I think people would have been expecting last year with Black Ops 6, when we were like, oh, 4 years of dev time and all this stuff, you know, we're gonna have like these big expansive Easter eggs, and it felt more like Cold War. My final point before I swing it back over to you is, I think this game, after Astra Malorum, if the content does keep up, is going to very quickly beat the DLC allegations, because this game feels light years ahead of Black Ops 6 and makes Black Ops 6 feel basically just like Cold War 2.0. Like, these games don't even feel the same, outside of like, yeah, you have, like you mentioned, the different field upgrades, the different ammo mods, the augments carrying forward. Obviously, there's a ton of augments you're going to have to research, and it's going to completely change the way you play the game. But this game just feels, especially from a map perspective and a map design, just like leaps and bounds farther than anything Black Ops 6 had. I think, you just look around on Twitter, and I'm not afraid to say it. Like, I'm not somebody that comes out and gives you these reactionary takes where I'm like, oh, dude, Mauer Toten is better than Origins, or oh dude, this new map Citadel just came out yesterday and the swords are better than the staffs. Like, I'm not that guy to come out and do that kind of stuff, but I am so serious. This map is already in my top 10. And I know it could be like, it could die off next week and I could look like an idiot saying that, but I genuinely, like, the Easter egg, for as big as the map is, flows amazingly. Like, there's not just this like, oh, here's a random bullshit step that makes no sense at all or whatever. You're just getting to the point. Like, everything makes sense. The Wonder Weapon quest makes sense, right? Like, everything that you're doing there, totally, it fits the vibe. All of the different steps around the map, the keys, everything just feels good. It flows perfectly. And that was honestly one of my biggest concerns on the map, is how are things going to flow when you have the largest zombies map experience ever? How is Tessie going to play when you have the largest map ever? Is it just going to feel like a Warzone vehicle? And like, Tessie plays great. I was expecting it to be like, that's a little concern for me. When I hear transit, I think I like the bus, where I get on the bus and I let it take me wherever I want to go, or it's a set route. I love having Tessie. The upgrades are great. The boosting is great. The ability to earn salvage from them are great. I hope the side Easter eggs are, when they're found, all of them are found, are just as good and kind of add a little bit more immersion to the map. That's the only place I'm going to scale back on, is like, we haven't really seen everything from a side Easter egg perspective and what the map totally has to offer. But I promise, last point before I throw it back to you, I don't know if you've seen these yet, but have you seen the free perks that you can get?
Yes, I've seen a couple of them today. I saw the Wisp T one actually right before we hopped on here, and then I saw actually what you put out for the quick revive. So also very well done. Okay, so when you actually go and do the ones for the soda machine, there's like 4 different ones that you can craft in the soda machine. It's Speed Cola, Juggernauts, Stamina Up, and Quick Revive. I think you can only do 1 per game, which is a little tough. I wish you could do more than that if you're going to take the time to go around the map and pick these things up. But you remember those items on day 1 that we thought were tied to the That's what they're for, yeah.
That's what they're for. But dude, they're all the ingredients for the perks. So like Juggernog is like the eggs, milk. Yeah, fish is for quick revive. Yeah, exactly. That's amazing. Dude, that's peak. That's like right there where it's like, dude, that's the kind of in-depth lore that we want, like stuff like that around the map that just makes it. It's not just like, oh, you shoot this target over here and that target over there and Juggernog spawn. It's like, dude, it's like that is elite. I would have never thought to do something like that. That is elite. That is an amazing side Easter egg that just needs to be recognized. No, absolutely. Guys, if you're out there watching, first of all, we appreciate you. We might seem a little bit amped up. We might seem a little bit ready to go. That's because we're enjoying Black Ops 7 Zombies and Ashes of the Dam, but there is a method to the madness here. We just gave you our initial impressions. The bulk of this podcast episode, this upload, is going to be about Ashes of the Damned and the boss fight. You're going to want to stick around to hear MZC and my thoughts about the boss fight. I know you're not going to want to miss that, so hang around till the end of the episode to hear what we have to say about that. I know it's a hot topic in the community right now for this opening
weekend launch of Black Ops 7. We're also going to do Community Corner. We have a couple of reply tweets over from X. If you're not following MZC over on X, make sure you go and do that as well. Also, hit the like button on this video. Comment down below your thoughts on Ashes of the Damned and Black Ops 7 Zombies so far since it's been released. All right, MZC. Ashes of the Damned. This is what I want to kick off with, because I'm going to do a lot of looking to the to the near past and what we have right now, because I think that's fair. You're coming off of a year where we just had Treyarch Zombies, so I think it's appropriate to say, hey, how have they innovated from Black Ops 6? What did they do better? What have they maybe done worse, if anything? I'm going to try to think of anything so far, and I really can't off the top of my head. That's how good the experience is for me so far. I want to piggyback off what you just basically talked about with your initial thoughts and impressions. Everything with AOTD feels so intentional. It feels so well placed. The Wonder Weapon, the Wonder Vehicle, the steps of the Easter egg, everything comes together for me where I feel like we rarely got that in Black Ops 6 Easter egg hunts. It felt like the eggs were interesting. It felt like they were a part of the map, but it felt like I was doing stuff around the map basically to get to the end of the egg, and there was really no rhyme or reason for doing it in a lot of scenarios and a lot of cases. Ashes of the Damned, this Easter egg, coupled with the map, is so well done to me, where even last night, let's just talk about personal anecdotes, personal experience. We're in a 4-stack. There's going to be conversations here about co-op, multiplayer co-op Easter eggs on this map, and then solo. That's going to be the big talking point here, I think, for the first couple of weeks of this game, if not longer. I never felt like last night when we were in a 4-stack that you were just being the YouTuber, being the guy who knows the steps. It never felt like you were just carrying the egg solo. Yes, you were doing a lot of the work, and you were, you know the routes and everything, which is obviously a big help. You need someone like that in your squad if you want to do the 4-player egg efficiently. But I felt like everybody can contribute. It was so much fun playing with multiple people, where I felt like we never really did that as in Black Ops 6 comparatively, where if our friends wanted to hop on and do it with us, we'd play with them obviously, but it always felt like that was an afterthought, where in AOTD that feels like what you really should be doing. Obviously there's going to be the solo grind that we talk about, but another thing too is I feel like you're on your toes at all times doing this Easter egg, not only for efficiency, but if Tessie blows up or needs repaired in one of the fogged areas, it's actually a concern, because it slows down your Easter egg progress and it puts you in a bad situation as far as survivability. There's all these different little things that I know we're going to get into that has just been so refreshing and so good with this Easter egg, not only from the hunt to getting to the boss fight to completing the boss fight to doing it with our friends. It's just been so good. I can't say enough good things about it right off the rip here.
Yeah, like last night, my main concern was like, okay, with you and Rapid knew what was going on. I mean, we sat there and we figured out the Easter egg together. Like, we were already locked in. Like, you guys knew the steps, you know what we're doing. But we have Mike, who, one of our buddies that we had in our 4-stack, it's full-time job, like more than full-time job, working, 16, 18 hours a day, doesn't really have time to play the game, hasn't even thought about, this was his first game on the whole entire game. He's a multiplayer guy. Yep. He's not a zombies guy either. It's just one of our buddies that likes to hop on with us and do these when they come out, just for a nice fun time with the boys. And so I'm like, okay, like this boss fight's going to be tough. Obviously Mike's a good player all around, so it's not that big of a deal, but like, how I don't want to just make it so that I'm running around the map doing things while you guys are just upgrading your weapons, and it feels like you're just hanging out while I run around the map and do everything. Like, I want you guys to kind of get the experience and the immersion in it. And there were multiple points where it's like, yeah, I had the Wonder Weapon and I had to go shoot the different satellites over on in the Cosmodrome, or I had to go freeze time and do that stuff over at the diner. But you guys were also doing your part where it's like, hey, one person gets in Tessie and drives Tessie up to the ramp or whatever, and then Mike's in the turret shooting the clock, and then you guys have to meet me over there with Tessie. It's like, in solo, that's so tough, because you have to basically strategically be like, hey, I gotta place Tessie over here, shoot this, drive Tessie over there, shoot this, come back through the jump pad and come back. In co-op, it's basically like, hey, there's 2 or 3 guys in Tessie, there's one person running around doing some of the steps, we're all gonna meet up in this area, we're all gonna do this, there's 10 tasks across the map, 2 guys bring Tessie over there, we'll hit the jump pads and make it this way. It's just like, I genuinely, not that I didn't think they could ever get back to this point with the Easter eggs, but I never thought I would see a day where we have a co-op Easter egg like this, where it's like in tandem, everybody's locked in, everybody's feeling it. I don't want to go to the boss fight right now. I want to talk about that in a little bit when we have this debate. Yep.
Everybody's having fun too, MZC.
Yep.
It's like there's no like there. Yes, okay. The classic like meme, like, hey, this person has to run the zombie. That happened, but you need contribution from all 4 players in this Easter egg. And this is what I'll say. And I didn't mean to cut you off, but this is what I'll say. This map, Ashes of the Damned, and maybe because it's been such a little bit of a drought, I don't want to say such a long drought because I don't want a revisionist history Black Ops 6 because I feel like we did enjoy it, and I feel like that's a game we're going to look fondly on in a couple of years. But from Cold War all the way up until Reckoning, I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this. To me, especially last year, it felt like they designed the map first, and then they put they installed the Easter egg into the map. Ashes of the Damned, for lack of better way to describe it, but I think this makes a lot of sense, is that they designed the egg and the map on a parallel track. I felt, and the story, it's almost like a 3-lane highway, and the cars are all going the same speed in the left lane, the middle lane, and the right lane. I feel like while I'm progressing through the map, it's like, hey, they designed this part of the map, and then they designed the Easter egg, and then they designed the story all at the same time. Where Black Ops 6, it felt like, okay, we're going to produce the map at 0 to 100%. All right, that's done. Now we're going to start working on the Easter egg. The way the synchronicity of this map just comes together, where every POI feels impactful, as far as gameplay, Easter egg, and story. It's hitting all 3 checkboxes at every available metric. Even with the ancillary stuff, with the Wonder Weapon, same thing. Gameplay, Easter egg, and story. Same way with Tessie. Same way with some of the stuff around the map, where it's like permanent perks. I mean, come on. Some of the stuff we didn't even know about coming into the map. Yep. It's like I'm sitting here and being surprised at every turn, and it's only been a couple of days. I know there's stuff in this map that hasn't been discovered, that hasn't been found, that's going to it grows with the player. It grows with the experience. That I just think that's where I'm at with my feelings with it.
That was a good shot. I totally forgot to even bring that up, and I wouldn't have in this episode. The permanent perks, not knowing that until like going into, I think it was like the day before they may have leaked, but like not really even like conceptualizing that until you do your first or second TED task with full perk. It's just like I would have never thought that they would have brought that back either, or that would have been a thing. And like, dude, TED tasks are so much better than Sam trials. Not only because it's TED and it's funny and you get the voice clips and whatever, but the Mark II has like a 20% spawn rate from those tasks. Like you get every time you do a task, it's good shit. It's not just, oh, I got 500 salvage and some essence and a score streak. You're getting at minimum a perk, and you're like, you have the chance of getting a wonder weapon is insane. So it's like, these are, every time they come up on the map, I'm like, oh, I don't give a fuck if I got a jump pad from the Cosmodrome back to spawn. Like, I'm doing this. Like, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna go out of my way to get this because the rewards are actually worth it. And to get the perma perks, I know we had Perkaholics when we were doing our run. You have to have all the perks in order to get those perma perks. So it's like, if you don't have all of them, it'll give you like the next available perk for you or a random perk. But like if trying to set up, it's gonna take you like 35 rounds to probably get all your perks and get everything done that you want to on the map. Then you can start doing these if you're doing high rounds, like then it's like 35 plus. You do these TED tasks to get perma perks. Like if you're not using gobblegums, there's ways for you to like progress and continue to do things up through like 50, 60, 70. Like it's just, they thought of everything with this map, and I like, again, it's so early. It's only a couple of days in, and we're gonna have to see what happens here with Astra Malorum into DLC 2, 3, 4, 5, however many maps are coming. But I just have this, and I hope it continues. I really hope nothing messes us up, and there's no like gotcha moment like after Citadel where it was like, oh, they go dark for a month, and then we're hearing like rumors the next map is a survival map, like da-da-da. Like it just, from everything, just based on living in the moment and being a fan for a second, it's starting to feel like, okay, this whole last year of like, this is kind of a gap year, filler year again, where they just, they got at the last minute got thrown on to work on this stuff, and now we're here with, kind of a half-assed experience, and the devs are leaving early to go work on the next game, and it's all just for BO7 now, and everything's being pushed again. Like we talked with Afterlife, I think once or twice, I think it was a Reckoning video actually, or the Reckoning podcast, where he was like, how many times am I going to give him the benefit of the doubt before it's Correct. Like, and I was getting there too. I'm like, I totally agree, like you can't keep doing this, you can't keep pushing this off, and I just feel like this is kind of the year, right? After DLC 1, after Astra Malorum, we're going to have all of the augments, all of the field upgrades, all of the ammo mods, everything from last year that from a core gameplay perspective will be in this game. And I'm expecting from that point on to get these level of maps, maybe not the size, obviously. Like this is the largest map of all time. I don't expect them to have this level of like a scale of a map in terms of its size and ability to jump around, all that stuff. Like,
Right.
I don't, these maps can go back to like Terminus size or Citadel size or Reckoning size, and it'd be totally fine. Like that's just the, this is the transit inspired map. But from DLC 1 on, we better be seeing like maybe not a new perk every, because like dude, I ended up with like 15, 16 perks, is gonna be crazy. But new ammo mod, new field upgrade, new this, new that. No more of the strip feeding stuff. And if that happens, plus the quality of these maps hold up, and we get all these survival maps, it is going to be probably one of, if not the best years for zombies overall, just in terms of sheer content. I mean, we can sit here and debate still, even with cursed mode. It's never going to be BO3 because it's not classic, or it's never going to be Black Ops 2, or it'll never beat BO4. Nothing on the system can get there. But if you're looking at a sheer content perspective, this could legitimately end up with like 6 to 10 survival maps and 6 DLC, like large scale maps like this map. And I'm sitting there going, this is one of the best years of all time in terms of just sheer content. So, I mean, obviously stuff can happen, things can change, budgets can be cut like we saw with Black Ops 4. I'm hoping that's not going to end up being the case. You gotta take it with a grain of salt. You gotta kind of have some realistic expectation here, but like you mentioned at the start, this is the best case scenario start for this map. I have not seen one person be like, I hate the map. I've seen people be like, oh, I don't like the boss fight, or I don't like some of these changes, or I'm still not a fan of the systems. But it's like, dude, I've not seen one person be like, this is a bad map. I've seen more people say this is an S tier map than it is like a 4 out of 10, which is crazy to me. Where I'm like, okay, so I'm not in the minority here. Obviously, a lot of these same people were like, oh, this map's C tier map or B tier map in Black Ops 6. Like this, genuinely, I don't know how to describe it. I'm blown away with how good of a map this is, and I really hope that it just stays this way throughout the rest of the year, which I actually think it can. If last year really was just kind of a, hey, we got thrown on this project a year before or a year and a half before, we got to scrap some shit together and get it out just to fill the title, which it seems like from a multiplayer perspective too, not even like, just forget about zombies. I don't want to put any shade on the dev or anything like that, but multiplayer last year was not up to par with the standard experience that multiplayer fans would expect. And then seeing the difference in multiplayer this year versus last year, it's like, okay, it just seems like they were, this is Cold War 2 or Cold War, whatever last year. But hey, I don't know. It's blown away with the sheer amount of stuff that not only is it happened at launch here. I'm going to find that quote too. I'm going to throw it back to you, but I'm going to find that quote from Kevin Drew real quick.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. And you bring up a good point there, because I want us to be open and honest with the audience like we do at every juncture of this podcast. At least I think we've tried to do, because, if you are in that group of people that maybe has this map, Ashes of the Damned, at a 5 out of 10 or a 6 out of 10, not at that peak levels that it sounds like me and you were talking about, which, that's our opinions, rightfully so, in the first 22 minutes of this episode. I want to reassure that segment of the audience as well. Like, hey, there's going to be some portions of this episode. It's not going to be the vast majority, but there's going to be a couple of talking points in this episode, at least for me, probably from MZC as well, where if I could sit down with a dev and be like, hey, I would really like to see this be a little bit different, or I would like to, just a tale of caution for moving forward throughout the game, there is going to be some constructive dialogue as far as, it's not 100% going to be, this is the greatest map of all time. And I think MZC was alluding to that as well. But I think formulaically, like, you have to look at it from last year, and you have to take that into account as well when we're talking about this map, because I think a lot of people's reservations with BO6 was that Terminus might have been their favorite map, and then the quality drop off was significant from there. So there's always the possibility, and like you said, a lot of this is putting faith into the team at Treyarch and taking stuff with a grain of salt, because hey, I think they've already wisened up, though. I think they tried to integrate the survival map last year, which was obviously Liberty Falls, into the story. And even though there was good metrics and maybe the internals and the player base on that map turned out to be really good, and a lot of people liked it, I think that there was some drawback and some blowback with that, where they adapted, they changed, they learned, and they said, hey, we're going to have farm just be a cutout of the main map at launch, and it's going to be a survival experience. It's going to have everything you need in there to get camos done and to just play the game kind of casually. If you don't want to load in and do an AOTD Easter egg run, or you don't want to have the expansive experience that Ashes of the Damned does offer. But I think they learned and improved in that respect. But a lot of people are going to have some comparisons to Terminus last year, where you could say the Nathan midway cutscene is similar to, when you unlock the DG2 turret and Ashes of the Damned, and hey, they reeled us in last year, and Terminus was my favorite map last year. That wasn't the problem. Launch wasn't the problem last year. It was everything after that. So we understand that aspect of the equation as well, and we want to be mindful of everyone's opinions in the community. There's nothing wrong if you don't like this map or if you don't think it's a S tier map. We're not saying that you have to totally agree with us at every step of the way, but we're just enjoying it and having that much fun with it as far as playing it from a casual perspective all the way through to covering it and doing it, on the YouTube side. And that's another thing too, MZC. I feel like at the end of last year, maybe it was the grind of Black Ops 6 and just the content, cycle of the year. I felt like we kind of were enjoying the game more from from you being a creator perspective and not just, hey, this is a video game that we have fun with and we like to play with our friends. And that's all this has been with Ashes of the Dam so far.
Right. 100%. Like you said, there's always the possibility that they reel us in with launch, and we want to respect those concerns because it did happen last year 100% for a lot of people. I had fun with it throughout the year, but I will admit there were like the highs and the lows, the ups and the downs, and some people definitely fell off after launch, which is a natural state for a lot of video games. But my biggest concern moving forward, and you talked about this, is they really adapted with the survival maps, going from having like the Liberty Falls where it's baked into the story, you have an Easter egg there, the tomb ended up being kind of like a survival map, or on the side of a survival map. I still thought it was a good map, but regardless, I think my main concern moving forward this year with the survival maps is actually the replayability past the camo grind. I know not everyone's going to go for the camo grind in week one like I am, and forcing themselves to play it because, hey, that's just what I want to do. It's the best way to maximize the time there. I really do hope, though, that they add wonder weapons in, maybe not a quest for them, but through the mystery box. We've talked about this a couple times on the podcast in a previous episodes, but I want to reiterate here. I think that it would really, really benefit these smaller maps that come out throughout the year to add those wonder weapons in, just because it would spice up the gameplay for each of them and actually give you a reason to boot into the map. So like my example here for Van Dorn Farm originally was like, hey, why don't you just put the Wonder Waff on Van Dorn Farm? I think that the Necrofluid Gauntlet could be on Farm, and it actually makes sense because you have the Necrofluid Gauntlet underneath the map where you pick it up in the actual map of Ashes of the Damned itself. I'm not saying there needs to be a quest for it. I'm just saying the Necrofluid Gauntlet would make a lot of sense to make an appearance in the mystery box only on Van Dorn Farm Survival, because I saw a lot of people asking me too when I uploaded the guide for it, hey, is this in Farm? Can I get this in the box? Can I get this in Survival? And the answer right now is no, but I would love to see them add that into the box there. And then to kind of keep things fresh for every survival map, this is where we talked about it with Stanley and Donuts and Afterlife and guys that are completely against reused assets and reused content, so that have no problem with this. So I personally would think this would go a long way, would be, okay, maybe with the Exit 115, the diner that's being added in, a couple weeks after Astra Malorum, maybe throw the jet gun in the box there. I know it's a reused wonder weapon from last year, but that would make a lot of sense that the transit POI gets the jet gun in the mystery box, and that's something that I think they wouldn't have to develop a whole new asset for. I would personally be okay with them literally just saying, we're going to copy and paste this over into, like, literally just Control C from BO6 to BO7 just to be in the mystery box on that one map. I don't know how you guys feel about that. Let me know in the comments below if that's something you guys would like to see, and hopefully Treyarch, maybe if you're listening, look in the comments and maybe people have a very opinionated response on that, but that's just something for me that I think would go a long way for these maps. Now you get into the Cosmodrome and it's like, the Thunder Gun would make a lot of sense, but now we're talking about creating new assets and spending dev time on those. If you don't have a Thunder Gun ready to go, I can imagine it would take a lot of animation, coding, all the stuff that would go into that. That's where things get a little bit crazy. You're probably going to have to be looking for older wonder weapons to Control C and bring back, and it might not make a lot of sense for that. I totally understand that aspect, but I'm just saying, like, from a survival map perspective, I think they're going to be good for the camo grinders. When new DLC weapons come out, we'll play the new survival maps to grind those camos. But, I'm already getting kind of sick of Van Dorn Farm from the beta, and just because it likes Ashes of the Damned so much, I think it would just go a long way in terms of long-term replayability, and even replayability over the next 2-3 years in the gap year between now and 2028. if you do have a box map specific wonder weapon per survival map, even if it is literally just Control C, Control V right into the box, I don't really see a problem with that. I think it adds some replayability and would actually get people on those maps a little bit more than just, hey, oh, the new survival map came out. I hopped on for 20 rounds and got off, and that was it. I think that would actually be a really nice change and something to maybe look at adding, whether it's with Season 1 or Season 2 or at some point in the game. I don't know if that's even feasible, but that's just my opinion right there.
Well, I think another part of what you're saying here too is this is like a 90-10 issue to me. 95-5. Like I think 95% of the community, if you put the Necrofluid Gauntlet on farm survival, they'd be like, this is fine. I just don't see why that would be a big gripe, from the community perspective and standpoint. Because I do agree with you. I think that I agree with you, but I kind of think the replayability is going to be fine, because if they release the rest of the survival maps at the right times, like in the appropriate timeline, because I think right when, I know you said it's getting a little bit stale already. Obviously you've been grinding it a lot more than, the average player, just for content purposes and stuff like that, and to try to get through the camo grind. But the beta being when it was does add to the effect of like, hey, it feels like we've been playing this map a little bit longer than it's actually been out from quote unquote release day. But I think if they release the other survival maps in a timely manner, like I said, like I feel like right when I'm going to be getting a little bit tired of farm, the next one will be out with Season 1, basically. That's what I'm hoping.
I totally agree with you, and I'm not saying that it's not necessarily a concern from in-season fatigue, because by the time I'm done with Ashes of the Damned and Astra Malorum, like that's when you're going to probably see like, okay, here comes, Diner Survival, which is nice because Diner's one of my favorite POIs. Cosmodrome's another great POI, great colors, great everything. It's a good spot to be running. I'm talking more so like, if there really is nothing coming for the next 2 years, let's say no MWZ, no last minute Vanguard type of situation, no whatever, and this is a 3-year gap. When I come back to this game, and this is the most recent experience, and this is still something that people want to continue to play and, maybe do retrospectives on, or just even come back and just hang out on because this is the most fresh Zombies experience to date, I just think that those survival maps are going to be lost after everyone has everything done on them, because you're like, okay, why would I play Van Dorn Farm, or why would I play Diner 115, Exit 115, or whatever POIs are coming in the future over Ashes of the Damned or any of these other maps, because I want to play with the Wonder Weapon, or I want to, it's just the same experience, just in a different setting, versus having a reason to be like, hey, I'm going to boot up Diner today because I want to play with the jet gun, or I want to boot up Astra Malorum, I don't know, like Astra Malorum Observatory, and use like the Space Wonder Weapon or something like that. But I don't want to actually go through and do a 45-minute quest, which I understand, like that's part of the map itself and gives it the charm and whatnot. But at the end of the day, like I said, even if it's just reuse Wonder Weapons, hey, I want to use the Wonder Waff today, I'm going to go boot up Cosmodrome or something. So that's what I'm coming. I totally agree with you. I think the way that they're going to space this out, especially if they're doing 1 to 2 maps a season and filling those gaps, is going to be a lot better than last year, especially if it's not just these LTMs or a whole season of grief. Like I think that we're in for a pretty stacked year of content. My complaint though is just like looking back over looking forward to the next 2 years, which might be a little bit too far ahead. But like look at Chronicles. Like Chronicles was, hey, I want to go back and play Keter Toten because I want to use the Thunder Gun, or I want to go back and play Origins because I want to use the staffs, or Moon because I want to use the Wave Gun. Just stuff like that, other than it just being like the same gameplay loop in a different setting.
And I think they have a little bit of a longer runway on launch, at least for a player like me, because I'm not only doing camos, but I'm doing challenges and calling cards and stuff like that too. And like I said, like we're not even touching Cursed in this episode. I don't even know if it has a place in Perkaholics Anonymous podcast. We're not even touching Dead Ops Arcade 4 in this episode. So there's still a lot of this stuff that needs to be explored. We don't even really have everything uncovered on Ashes of the Damned. That's pretty much a fact at this point, as far as side eggs and everything considered. Like I said, not to even mention or bring up Cursed mode quite yet. So a lot of stuff still to do. I don't see this year having a content availability problem like we talked about all lead up into this game, and then what we're talking about a lot of here tonight. But yeah, I mean, just there's little stuff here and there too. Like I agree with you. Like for me, before we move into the Easter egg hunt and then just our thoughts on the boss fight, because I do want to kind of juxtapose those two talking points with you and kind of have a thought exercise here, because I do want to talk about how you feel the actual Easter egg difficulty is, what your favorite steps are so far, and then I want to have a comparison about what we feel about the boss fight arena and the boss fight experience as a whole. But like for me so far, before we get into that, I'm a little bit nervous because I want, if you're going to keep doing the vehicle thing, which I'm a huge fan of, and like you said earlier, I didn't know if I would be a huge fan of it. I didn't know if it would feel Warzone-y or if I didn't, or Outbreak-ish. I didn't know about it, but I've been enjoying Tessie. I like how it interacts with the map like everything else. I like how it's the Pack-a-Punch. I like how it's integral to the story and how you get through the Easter egg. Loving all that. It needs to be an Ashes of the Damned only type of thing. If Tessie's going into other maps, I got a little bit of concern. I got some questions. That's going to be my biggest gripe this episode with the map, but I just wanted to put that in front of you before we moved on.
I would be worried about it if it's a multi-map issue or thing past Astra Malorum. Here's my crack pipe theory for the episode. I think that Astra Malorum and Ashes of the Damned are like 1A, 1B in terms of could possibly even be like the same, like part of the same map. It could have just been like Easter egg 1 and then like you're teleported to like map number 2, Easter egg part 2 kind of thing. If what I like, these are all rumors and leaks and whatnot. Like I'm just making this up. Like let's say Tessie returns in the next map, but it's more of like you're in space and it can be converted into like a spaceship type of thing. I wouldn't mind if like the boss fight just spitting this out. I don't know anything at all. I'm just making this up. But like let's say the boss fight is the entity from MWZ or something similar where it's in space and the whole thing is like you're flying between rocks in Tessie. Like you have to get in Tessie. You fly up with like rocket boosts or whatever, and you go across like, it's like almost like a UFO, like a completely different like play style in terms of it's not just like the driving with the wheels and the boosting, but it's like a spaceship type of thing. I think that would be totally cool. It'd be interesting to see them do that for every single map, but I totally agree. Like after one or two, be like, okay, I'm starting to kind of get fatigued with this. I kind of want a boss fight where I run around, I got the power trip of upgrading my weapon throughout the game or using a wonder weapon and stuff. Like I think that that's totally like, and I would definitely get burnt out on it, but I think that, one thing nobody talks about is the entirety of the Easter egg is pretty like lore heavy around the areas and stuff like that. Nobody talks about launching the rocket at all. Nobody said anything about it. Like that's where I think genuinely whatever we did at the Cosmodrome is going to tie into the next map. So that's where I'm kind of like, okay, if like maybe we're just teleported to the next map and Tessie shows up with that, like maybe, that's the situation. Maybe it gets blown up at the end of the next map, like how Klaus did in Mauer der Toten, stuff like that. I don't know. I'll give him one more map with it before I'm kind of like, all right, like we're getting gimmicky here. Like maybe we should have just left this on Ashes of the Damned to be kind of its own transit bus experience, or the first two maps are tied together. But I totally agree with you. If every single map is going to have a variation of Tessie and that's what the boss fights are, I'm not going to be like, not give it a chance and be like, I'm sick of this, but I'm going to start to kind of be like, I don't know, like it kind of ruins the whole gimmick of Ashes of the Damned.
Well, the only thing with the rocket, it's funny that you say that because the only real crossover there is the Cypher. So unless that has something to do with, Yuri's lab step with all the different, with that first Cypher where you have to, about the things you collect and you bring over there to those dishes, unless it has any connection in the story or in the intel and the lore to do with that, with the rocket, then you are right. It is kind of an unsolved part of the lore in that sense.
So when you do the clock step and you get the zombies inside of the lightning, they are at the end of it, they turn into the wisps that you drive over with Tessie at the very end. And it's the same thing with the family from Van Dorn Farm. And then the two wisps from there are on the satellites. Those are like the 9 wisps that you drive over with Tessie right before you're teleported to the boss fight. I'm assuming they're like souls that you're freeing or whatever.
Right.
I see that with where, okay, you're freeing the souls from being shot in Van Dorn Farm. They end up coming back through the lightning or whatever in the last step of the Easter egg. But it's like, we're going into a space map next. We launch a rocket that we just don't even know what the hell happened to. And it could just be like, oh, it's a fun little, here's a, just a rocket launch and it's a callback to Moon and Der Eisendrache. And remember how, nostalgic that was. We're going to play the DE music as it gets shot up into the sky. But, I think the story is really going to ramp up here, especially after map 1. It seems to be in a better state than it was last year, already off the rip. So as long as we don't get honey-dicked with that, I think that that's really going to be a key element to the next map, is whatever we did here on this map, we're actually going to see it have an impact on next map.
No, I agree with you. I think that makes sense logically. But as far as the Easter egg, let's stay in that same vein, because I have a lot of positive thoughts about this Easter egg, and it's twofold for me. Number one, Easter eggs to me, I think you could boil it down to you don't know what you don't know. That's basically the thing. You're hunting, you're traversing around the map, you're trying to figure out how to put one and one together to make two. Where Easter eggs often fall short for a lot of people in the community, and it's probably the toughest part to juggle, in my opinion, just trying to think out loud here, is the actual step, like the knowledge of the actual step versus the knowledge of the actual map. Now, that might sound confusing, but what I mean by this is, and I'm obviously going to use examples from Ashes of the Damned. So if you have too many annoying steps that you need to figure out that just deal with the map in specific, it gets frustrating really quickly. If you don't know where the key locations are on this map when you go to do that step with the gauntlet, that step is very annoying. But it's not like that's the whole egg. Do you see what I'm saying? You see where I'm going with this? Yeah. Now, on the flip side, the artifacts at farm, that is an easier step with like understanding the map. You know, they're all going to be in a similar area. Sure, some of them are hidden, but they're, it's not like the locations switch up. That's a repetitive step where it's like, hey, I do this once, I know what to do. But that lockdown step, the actual gameplay of that step, if you don't know what's going on, you're going to fail it. And it's actually very difficult if you don't have a strategy ready to go.
Yep.
The fact that they were able to have both aspects of the Easter egg hunt in one just by using those two examples, the main quest is really not that difficult, especially, as far as quests go in general, at least in my opinion. Once you figure it out, obviously it gets significantly easier. That's how all Easter eggs are, especially all modern Call of Duty Zombies Easter eggs. But the way they're able to have both aspects of the Easter egg hunt, like with those examples, is really good, really immersive, and it's really refreshing to me.
Yeah, it seems like last year, when we compare this map at least to Terminus, like Terminus, you're like, oh, I know what I'm looking for. Other YouTubers say this all the time. You're like, oh, I've been, covering COD Zombies for 10 plus years, 15 years now. Like, I know Treyarch's tricks and I know what to look for. And, how many times did we need Deadwire for something last year? How many times did we need, a field upgrade to do this or that? This year, it's like, dude, I mean, you needed that kind of stuff. And there were those times of the Easter egg where you need, like, a Molotov or a, whatever,
right, you see the free ones, right? Sitting around.
You see them sitting around. Yep. From last year, like, hey, these are probably going to be. That was the first thing we said. We booted it. And, hey, there's a free, stun grenade here in spawn. We're probably going to need that at some point. So you kind of see those tricks, but like those were for easier beginning steps of the Easter egg. Once you actually got into like the heart of the Easter egg, it was like, dude, what is going on here? I don't even know where to look. This map is huge. There's shit all over the place. You got to go out in the fog. Where am I supposed to? I can't even think straight in the fog. There's zombies chasing me. And the Tessie's getting blown up. I'm out of ether shrouds. I got to run back and get full powers or it shields up, whatever I can do to like actually survive out there. Again, once you figure it out though, you know where the three spots are. You know where to check it. Once you get close enough, you hear the audio. Like you get the point there. But no, dude, they've just I'm hoping it's not like a one and done situation where they really dialed it in for this big map and they could hide things in different spaces because of how big it was. And it was just, this one-off experience in terms of Easter eggs, but I don't feel that way. I feel like they're really just dialed in right now and they've got their swagger back. And that's where I want to kind of bring in this quote. I've meant to bring it up earlier, but this is, it was not actually from Kevin Drew. It's from Miles Leslie, who's the associate creative director over at Treyarch. This was in a PC Games website. It was like an article written where they interviewed him. He said, "Zombies fans, I will say you're going to be eating. We have heard you." And this is from Astra Malorum. This isn't for Ashes of the Dam. This is straight from the assistant creative director's mouth talking about DLC 1. "Zombies fans, I will say you are going to be eating. We have heard you, and you're getting extra scoops of ice cream, all the toppings. There's going to be some cherries on there. You're actually going to be full, and we're going to tell you to finish your dessert. Yeah, you better finish your plate." So, I mean, we talked about this last night. They teased Astra Malorum before the map even came, before the game came out. They were talking about DLC 1 already, and we thought, okay, there's two possibilities for this. Either one, they're going to flex on Battlefield because Battlefield had just released their season 1 content, and Treyarch and Call of Duty's like, hey, we're going to come out. We got 6 multiplayer maps. We got, 2 survival maps for zombies. We got to make this. So it could have been like the play for, hey, we're going to compete with Battlefield, which might have been the reason why they released it so early. But I don't think they would have done that if they weren't confident with Astra Malorum at all. I think they would have just kind of done the same thing they did last year, where it's like, hey, we're going to go through DLC 1, or we're going to go through the map, and then we'll release we'll start our teasers for Citadel. Whereas this time around, they seem to be really, really confident with what they're offering here. And again, this could be a situation where it's like, hey, are they going to front load the content with the good stuff, and the back half is going to be weak, unpolished stuff like we kind of saw in Black Ops 6? I just don't know. I feel like I got a whole different vibe from this game, and they've heard us screaming not only for the past year about what we didn't like about BO6, but the last 4 years about what we didn't like about zombies leading up to BO6. So they've had time to really refine this. It seems like they've taken everything to heart. This game is full of quality of life updates. We're looking like they're telling us we're going to be eating, and they're pretty serious about it. I heard good things about Ivory Map last year, but they're really doubling down on how much content and how good we're going to be eating with not only Astra Malorum, but potentially moving forward too throughout the rest of the DLC season.
No, and I totally agree with you. I think their attitudes have totally changed. And however you think Black Ops 6 and Black Ops 7 came together, development timeline, however, that whole discussion, we'll probably never know, or we won't know in any time in the near future. But it felt like last year was kind of like, hey, this is what's happening. However it goes, and maybe we didn't have a whole lot of control over it. And a lot of people speculated that all year long. This year so far, from like teasing the game, like announcing the game, to teasing the game, to the beta, to showing season 1 National Malorum early, all the way up till now, it's like, hey, we're confident in this product. We're super confident, and we know that it's good. You either get it or you don't. That's kind of how it is with a lot of this stuff, especially in a competitive first-person shooter video game marketplace. Like it's either there or it's not. And the community sentiment is there for Ashes of the Damned. Like you said, there's a lot of people, majority of the people I would say that I've seen on YouTube, on X, which YouTube and X aren't the whole world, but
it's the most vocal platforms for the zombies.
They're liking it.
Yeah.
They're liking it. And how nice is it? And I know maybe, I could hear someone in the comments right now, which it's a fair argument. It's a fair point. Like, you shouldn't be giving them praise for something they should have already been doing. But how nice is it to not be step A of the Wonder Weapon, or step there's A, B, and C of the quest, right? Oh, okay. A and B is get the Wonder Weapon, and then C is a little bit of C is one more step, and the rest of C is the boss fight. Where that was the formula for last year, and then Black and Ashes of the Damned, it's A, B is the Wonder Weapon, and then C, D, E, F is the rest of the egg, and then G is the boss fight. I mean, it's so good. It really isn't centered around, I mean, it is centered around the Wonder Weapon. I'm not trying to say that it's not, but it's not like you get the Wonder Weapon and then you're going into the final interaction, the final encounter. There's 3 more steps
to do, and then you're good to go.
It's so much better, and it's so much more evolved after that, where it's like, yes, this is what we were missing in Black Ops 6. This is what people were like. What did we used to say for a lot? We come on here the first 10, 15 episodes. It's kind of half baked. I'm not getting any of that in Ashes of the Damned. This is fully baked. Like they said, that's such a good metaphor. He said, this is baked. Chocolate drizzling, syrup, all cherries, all this, the funfetti sprinkles on top. It's all there. It's all good.
Listen. I'm ready to bring this map home. If they got a Klaus upgrade, and they've also got like a Dragon Wings or some way to make. Okay, but I'm talking upgrade. Like I need him. But we have like Klaus on the map.
I
need a different.
Peak.
I need a different. Yeah, peak. When I saw Klaus, I'm like, oh, we're up. We're back. My guy.
Just need Dr. Peck, and we'll be eating. We'll be S tier.
The chopper crashed after the reckoning. He's dead. It's over. You're gonna pull him from the wreck here in 2 maps. He's gonna be a dead body in the ground. No, but dude, if they got a Klaus upgrade, just for like Society Strike to make it a little bit more, Society Strike so far have been good, but I haven't seen anything where I'm like peak. That, and then like the Dragon Wings, I really want them to do something with the jump pads where either they all become free so you don't have to spend salvage on or essence on them at some point during the game. Because like in the early game, I don't take the jump pads because I'm like, dude, I don't want to spend money. I need this for my points. I need this for my Pack-a-Punch. I need this for my perks. But then also, I really hope there's just some way to get from the Cosmodrome or Exit 115 back to spawn, whether it's a teleporter that we haven't found or a jump pad or something to get back from that area. And then I'd be like, this map is like 9.5, 9.8 out of 10 with those little changes there. It's nothing major. It's already like, for me, it's already like an 8, 9 S tier. It's already an S tier map. Like for me personally, and a lot of people in the community that I've seen, it's an S tier map. I just think those two changes or those two things would go a long way if we haven't found them yet to like really pushing it over the top for me personally to be like, I can't find anything wrong with it. Like I'm trying to find stuff wrong with this, but I just can't. I just genuinely cannot find anything wrong with this map in general. The Easter egg quest is fantastic. The actual immersion of the map, the colors, the story, the characters, Ted, everything is great, including the boss fight. We're transitioning right into this. I do not want them to nerf this boss fight. I'm gonna be an elitist here and just completely say that everybody, the same thing with Richtofen and Reckoning. Oh, it's too hard. They need to nerf it. They need to do this. They need to do that. They need to do that. Y'all need to learn how to play it. It's hard. There are stages where you can't absolutely get screwed, but it is not like the hardest boss fight of all time. It's tough. It's just so different from what we've experienced ever, where your whole match, aside from like 5, 6, 7% of the boss fight, is you're in Tessie ramming it. Yeah, it can get a little repetitive. It can be a little bit annoying there, but like it's a completely different way to approach a boss fight. Like there's not really any of this, oh, I get the meta weapon and get out and I two-phase the boss. Like, I'm sorry, but that's just not, I don't really find that kind of stuff fun. That's part of the reason with BO6 where like the boss fights were good, but once somebody figured out, hey, here's the meta, here's the ammo mod, here's the way to cheese it, it's like, that's all I'm going to do when I go through the boss fight because that's all I want to do to get through it. But with this, it's like, dude, you got to learn how to use Tessie. You got to learn how to micromanage the plants around the arena. You got to know when to get out. You got to have like a certain setup to be able to repair Tessie, whether it's Ether Shroud, Monkey Bombs. Like you got to learn the strategy in order to get this. I'm honestly, and again, this is going to sound like an elitist, but I'm sick of seeing people that fail it 2 or 3 times and be like, it needs a nerf. It's like, no, dude, I failed it 3 or 4 times before I beat it in solo the first day. Like, it's not I don't want to be able to go into a boss fight and in the first run or two get it down. Every single time that I failed it, I got incrementally better until I understood how to beat the boss fight. And even last night, it was our first time playing co-op. It was our first time doing it in co-op. We had Mike, who hasn't booted up the game, doesn't have all the augments, hardly has any augments for that matter. Rapid, he's good at the game too, but that was it was his first time going through the boss fight. It was your first time going through the boss fight. And yeah, we struggled. Yeah, we had to pick each other up and we had to play as a team, but we beat it. You know, it's not like you can't do it. It's not like it's this incredibly OP thing. And I just don't agree that after 2 tries, you should be able to beat it. And I think that a good boss fight isn't, once I know how to do it, I don't die ever. And it's just this insane, like I just walk in there, like Patient 13, you walk in and out of that boss fight. The Guardian became walking in and out of the boss fight. Tomb, never going down in the Tomb boss fight, never going down and Reckoning against Richtofen unless you don't have the right setup there. Zrex was a really good boss fight because every once in a while I would fail it and be like, damn, dude, I don't know how to do that, or I lost in that boss fight. But for sure, 100%, this is a situation where it's like, I think that the boss fight should be this hard because it's a challenge to get through. It's a struggle to get through. And in this specific experience, especially, it's geared toward co-op. I got the footage probably playing right now where, at the very end of the boss fight, we had been, had a couple of downs. We got knocked out of the truck a few times. Mike took the role of mechanic where he was the one where like, I'm going to go eat the shroud and go get Tessie back online. I'll pick you guys up, whatever. Very end of the boss fight, you're over at the pillars with Rapid. One of you guys went down. I don't know who it was, but somebody goes down. He's going into his lightning phase. Mike and I are off in the middle of no man's land. Mike goes down by Tessie. I got to run over there. I pick him up. I'm like, Mike, repair. He starts repairing the Tessie. I got the ray gun Mark II. I'm fending off zombies. We get in the Tessie. I go at the last second where the truck just gets repaired, blast into the guy, and then we all kill him. We end the boss fight. It was great. It was fantastic. It was like the only time in a COD Zombies experience where I thought I was like pushed to the brink. I was challenged. I was stressed, and we had to work as a team to get it done. I haven't had that in Black Ops 6. I haven't had that in Cold War. Even in BO4, didn't really have that. Even in BO3, outside like Gorod Krovi and Revelations, didn't really have that there either. DE was kind of a cakewalk once you knew what you were doing. Zatsuba was free. BO2, no boss fights there. Like, this is the first time in a boss fight outside of Metastopheles, Gorod Krovi, Revelations that I was like, dude, you need to be locked in. It does not need to be nerfed in any way. I think people just need to not expect to beat it in their first 1, 2, or 3 times going through it. Now we'll see how Cursed is. If Cursed or there's around 100 boss fight, that's where I'd be like, all right, this is kind of insane. It's definitely a bit of a struggle. But it's like, dude, we did the same thing with Richtofen and Reckoning, where everybody was like, it needs a nerf, it needs a nerf, it needs a nerf. It's not fair. And it's like, I want to struggle. I want to die in the boss fight. I don't want to beat it one time through. I want to have a fun experience like that in co-op, where it's like, dude, we all struggled during that boss fight, but we just kept picking it up. We just kept fighting, didn't give up, made it all the way through, and made it honestly one of the probably the most fun nights I've ever played Zombies was doing that 4-player Easter egg with you guys, struggling but fucking working as a team to get it done.
All right, I'm going to follow you up here. I 100% agree with everything that you said. I think you're exactly correct. Hit the nail on the head. I'm going to add a little bit of color from my perspective, and I'm going to try not to be repetitive. Number one, I think for 4 players, it's the perfect level of difficulty. For solo, it's overly difficult, but that's fine. It's a co-op map. It's a group experience with the map. And I understand that they've gone away from that, and every BO6 egg felt like it was designed for a solo player, because very well maybe it was. And not everybody has 3 people they could hop in, jump on. I understand all that, but not every map's going to be the same. Some maps have unique elements. Back to my earlier point, you don't know what you don't know. We've never played a boss fight with a wonder vehicle, so that's fine. Strategies are going to come out. People are going to get better. You do it a couple of times, and if you fail, you improve, and you go back in the next time, and you hope to be better. That's the fun part, and what should be the fun part about boss fights. Number 2, the way that in co-op you have to adapt and change and communicate on the fly is so good. It's not, run around and do this and we're going to get through this stage and it's going to be, yes, it's immune and this and that, but it's just such a good switch up in a co-op experience from anything that we saw in Black Ops 6 and in Cold War, mind you, in that whole equation as well, where it's like, hey, we have to communicate here. If Tessie breaks and both of us pop and 2 out of the 4 people pop their Ether Shroud because one person just didn't say anything, we're going to be behind.
You're costed down the line.
If Tessie breaks and we both hop out here and pop Idolize, it's going to be a problem. If both of us go to hit to revive Tessie and we both go down, all right, it's putting us in a bad situation. At the end, when me and Rapid were at the pillars and Mike was like, all right, we're just going to circle around and we'll come back and pick you up. It's that type of stuff on the fly where, yes, guys, you do have to have 4 competent players to beat this boss fight in a 4-stack. Sorry, I hate to break it to you. The days are like, believe it or not, and I understand that this is kind of a tough conversation and a tough topic for people to wrap their heads around because of everything that they've said the past 4+ years, all the way back from Cold War, all the way through directed mode in Black Ops 6, which is still going to be in Black Ops 7. Like, yeah, they cater to the casual side of the experience in Zombies a little bit. That's out the window. That's gone. As far as Easter eggs and boss fights, that's gone. That's it. Same way with 100s and 999s. It ain't going to be a walk in the park this year. At least from what I've gathered so far through the information, it's all in the same vein. Like, you can't, I'm sorry, you can't carry your one bad friend. If you're in a 4-stack and you're trying to carry your 1 or 2 bad friends who you just want to show them the map, but they really have no idea how to play zombies, I don't think you're going to be able to do that this year. Call me wrong for saying that. Call the devs wrong for designing it like that. I'm just telling you that's what I think the reality of the situation is right now. Number 3, before I kick it back to you and we can have a little bit of back and forth here, I'll tell you why not only should they not nerf it, but they actually, in my opinion, in good conscience, Treyarch actually can't nerf it because of what it unlocks. So Correct me if I'm wrong, it unlocks Curse, correct? You could play Cursed without it, but you can't equip any of the relics.
Yeah, you can't unlock any of the relics.
So why should people like you, why should people like me, why should anybody who's beat it already, why should it get nerfed for people that haven't been able to beat it, that maybe can't beat it? Why should they get an easier opportunity to get into content that is revealable, that's playable after beating it? But they had an easier path to get to that content.
That's geared towards the hardcore fan too, by the way.
That to me is the biggest red flag on why they cannot nerf it, should not nerf it. I'm telling you right now, that's That would be bothersome to me if it gets nerfed, because there's people who are going in there that are going to use the augments that they got in Black Ops 6, that are going to use the gobblegums that they generated and that they got in Black Ops 6. And yeah, it's newsflash, like gobblegums are in the game, guys. They carried over for a reason. It's all making sense now. It's part of the game. Should you need a 5 stack of ultras multiple times, 2, 3, 4 times within a boss fight to be able to beat it? Maybe not, but that's not what this is. In a 4 stack, even in solo, it's not what this is. You might need to go in there with ultras. If you're not a top 1% movement and accuracy player, you might need to go into it solo with a Perka or with a raindrops. Maybe so. But at the end of the day, that is the advantage that you got from playing Black Ops 6. And maybe you didn't even know it. Maybe you used all your gums throughout the year because you didn't think they were going to be transferring over. I hear that. I'm understanding of that. But to me, there's no way that this could get nerfed because of the ramifications and what's locked behind it. It simply cannot happen, in my opinion, from my estimation. It's perfectly difficult right now. Learn, adapt, study. Hey, what can we do different next time? And go in there and beat it. That's where I'm at.
I beat it in solo with raindrops and Perka, only because I was like, okay, this it wasn't to do anything about damaging the boss. It was more so just like hey, I want something quick to be able to get an ether shroud back to repair Tessie or to get my perks back. You can do it. And I if anyone wants to challenge me, I'll go do it with shields up, because that was one of the 3 that I used. Power keg, because I just really honestly for raindrops just wanted something quick back to be able to get my my ability to get raindrops back. And then the third one being something more so like, let's see, it was shields up, power keg. What could be a good third one? Aftertaste, right? Where if you down, those are all blue gobblegums right there. Right. It's not like, yes, Perkaholic, raindrops, $5 down the drain right there whenever you want to go ahead and use one of those. You shouldn't need those to get through the boss fight, but the substitute for those are blue gobblegums that you should have a lot of if you played a lot last year. I know that kind of handicaps people that might be trying out Black Ops 7 for the first time or buying BO7 for the first time, but dude, I'm sorry. Like, I put a fuck ton of time into the game last year on double gobblegum weekend, specifically going, I'm going to want these for next year. I am doing this. I am playing this game right now because I know these especially towards the end of the year. They didn't have double gobblegum weekends from Shattered Veil weekend, launch weekend of Shattered Veil for 3 or 4 months until like right before the Reckoning or after the Reckoning came out. We didn't have gums for 3 months. So then they fed you like 5 or 6 straight weeks of double gobblegum weekends. That should have been the indicator that, hey, we already know now from the blog post, they're carrying over. They're feeding us gobblegum weekend after gobblegum weekend after gobblegum weekend, and all you got were the blue and purple gobblegums that now are very applicable to not only this boss fight, but this game. So it's like, I understand the no gobblegum argument from the ultras, but when it comes to smaller things like that, maybe not locking a step behind using a shields up or something, but there are benefits to being in the boss fight. Like, they're not, I have 99 plus on most of those. Yeah, I played more than probably 90% of the people that played last year, but I'm sure if you played a lot last year, if you were just crushing them to crush them or getting rid of them because you didn't want them in the HUD, like, I'm sorry. Like, you should have known what was coming. Like, I don't know what to tell you.
You're being too nice, in my opinion. There's another level of sticklerness that this could get to, because newsflash, what do you think the perma perks are for?
Yeah.
Oh, you don't want gums? You don't want to have to take a perk into the boss fight? Okay, get in. You're going to have to play a lot of rounds. Get in, get your perks, get set up, do every available TED task after that, and get perma, and hope you get good RNG perma perks for the perks that you need if you go down. Juggernog, quick, stamina up, speed, a lot, it could be done. You don't need gobblegums for it. You could sit there and play 50 rounds and get all your perks and get good RNG and TED tasks and get perma perks of the best perks that you need and go into the boss fight with perma perks. It's possible.
I'm sure that this boss fight and a lot of boss fights moving forward too are probably going to play a lot differently once you have all of the ability to equip 2 minors too. So, like, for me, the first boss fight I went through, I got smoked. I was dead within the first phase of it. I don't think I got through one phase. Maybe I got through one phase and then died. You
better go
2.
Research the auto plating, the auto plating augment on vultures. I'm doing it right now. You need it.
That, I was like, okay, if I get knocked out of the car, I'm gonna go run to one of these pillars and I'm gonna farm up zombies and kill them and just run over the plates and then go get Tessie back. Great. Then I got to like the third stage of the boss fight, died. What else could I have done there? What could I have done to distract this boss or distract the zombies for me to be able to go and repair Tessie? I'll bring in monkey bombs. Stims weren't working for me. I need monkey bombs to be able to distract the zombies to have time to go get Tessie. For as much as I get on them about, oh, they didn't play test this augment or they didn't play test this or that, there's no way that somebody at the office didn't beat this and say, okay, good. There had to have been multiple people at the office or multiple testers that beat this to say, okay, if you use this if you use the monkey bombs with this weapon, with this, and this, and
right.
it can be done. It can be done, right? They're not going to just sit there and go, all right, well, everybody in the office just brought in Perkaholics and we had a fun time and we all beat it using the best gobblegums that we have unlimited of because we're on dev builds. That's not going to happen there. So I'm sure I bet you in 2 weeks they're going to find some weapon that's like, oh, with Donuts is going to find some weapon with these attachments, with these different, fucking combinations where as soon as the boss is immune, you just one tap him and next thing you know, you're in the next phase. Or you shoot him or you do so much damage to him that it two phases him and next thing you know, you're on phase 3 already and you just spawned in. Like it's day 2, it's day 3. We cannot be asking to nerf this stuff. Like, yeah, it sucks. You want to get it done on weekend 1. Yeah, you want to be able to beat it right out of the gate. But again, I didn't beat it first try. I didn't beat it second try. I didn't beat it third try. It took me 4 tries to get in there, and every single time I got better and better and better at it until you start to understand like what you have to do at each situation. It's not your conventional boss fight. It's not Patient 13. It's not the Guardian. It's not anything from BO6. This is a completely
and we could have easily died last night.
Absolutely.
We could have easily died last night in a 4 stack. We didn't, but we could have easily died. And here's what you have to. Here's my last point here. You have to. For a community's sake, for a community as a whole, you have to weigh your options of what we could pick from here. We cannot complain for years since Cold War that the gameplay is too easy, that we can't complain that it's being catered toward casuals, and then the first hint of any pushback or any difficulty, we're calling for a nerf. I would much rather be at this difficulty level here with this level of experience within the map. I would much rather be here than be 2020. You could sleepwalk, with a contagious disease during COVID and beat all of Cold War. I would much rather be where we are now with this level of difficulty compared to a casual experience where everybody goes, oh, we need something to reward the hardcore players. And, basically, if you have the time and the save file doesn't corrupt and you get into a strategy, you could get to 100, 150, 999 if you want to. I would much rather have resolve and take accountability as a community where we all, the biggest names and the biggest creators fire up streams and they upload videos and they're sitting at their computers for 16 to 24 to 32 hours straight on the launch day of these games, because that's what we are as a community. We're high rounders, we're Easter egg hunters, we're camo grinders, we're Dark Ops challenge people. That's what we are. We're not, we didn't do it with the first 2 times, we wasted a couple of ultras and now we have to say that it needs nerfed. We're not that. We're the grinders. We're the people that want the challenge. We're not the people that run from a challenge. So I want everybody, regardless of how you feel about the map, regardless if you haven't beat it yet, I hope you do beat it. I hope it gets 100% completion and everybody beats the boss. That's where I want us to be.
I think it's well said. I think you just completely tied it up with a bow there, man. I mean, we're not little bitches, guys. Come on, we can get better. We can do better than just giving up at the first sign of adversity. If you've been doing something for 15 years, dude. If you've been playing the game for, if you've been doing something for 10 or if you've been playing a game for 5, 10, or 15 years, and the first sign of adversity is to go and say it needs a nerf. We are better than this from a morale, from a standpoint of resolve. We have to be better than this, because if they turn around and they change the difficulty, it just looks bad for everybody else. It just makes the game look bad. It makes the community look bad. I see. This is where I want to use a quick example here. There's not one, even the lightning phase in phase 3, you get drained, your health goes down very quickly, but you can't escape it. We escaped it last night. I've done it in solo. With Richtofen, there was the bug where you would get shot with the Wonderwaff and it would break through your dying wish. And it would completely just down you without even using the dying wish. That's something that's like, okay, that needs to be nerfed. Whether that was intentional or not, that's something that cannot happen. Dying Wish should proc no matter what when you hit 0. It doesn't matter if you're in a boss fight. It doesn't matter if it's an insta-wipe attack. You should get Dying Wish to proc there. It doesn't matter. So whether or not that was intentional or that was just a bug, I understand nerfing or fixing something like that. But just because it's hard and extremely difficult at that matter doesn't mean it needs to be nerfed. I could not imagine living through IW Zombies peak boss fight of Metastopheles back in the day where you beat the entirety of the last Easter egg, which takes you 2 hours to get to that point, and then you die 2 or 3 times to Metastopheles and go, it needs a nerf. I can't keep spending 3 hours on this and dying. Like, I don't want to keep no. Like, we guys, just give it another week. Maybe give it 2 weeks. Let's test some weapons. Let's level up everything. Let's find some good strategies. Let's find some good metas. And like, if in 2 weeks it's still this big of a problem, let's come back to it. I remember at the start of last year, people were like, dude, Patient 13 is too hard. And then we found out, there's an ammo mod that allows you to actually do good damage against him. These shotguns are really, really good against him in phase 3. If you use Ether Shroud and Void Sheath, you can one knife phase 3 if you just hit him in the right spot. So like, let's just take a deep breath. Let's take a step back. Let's do some more research. Let's find some metas. Let's calm down here. I don't think we need to be calling for a complete nerf of the boss just yet. Okay, like maybe in a couple weeks, 2 weeks tops. If it's 1 week before DLC 1 and people still don't have this Easter egg done, even in directed mode, they're failing it. We'll get some thoughts and opinions here. But like, it's people were calling for this yesterday, 24 hours after the map came out. Like, let's chill out for a little bit. Let's calm down. Just calm down. Think about it. Maybe we'll see. Anyways.
Absolutely no. You make good points. All right, let's go over to the community corner, don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely. It's time for a couple of thoughts here from X. We appreciate everybody's thoughts and opinions over on Twitter. Again, X, I guess I gotta call it. It's not going back to Twitter, but another amazing interaction here. We have 69 comments on this post, so more amazing engagement from every single one of you that commented. I want to shout out everyone that replies to these. I actually go through and look at all of these. I'll read them. Obviously, we only have so much time here on the podcast. We like the community corner to be like 20 to 30 minutes to wrap things up to get to that 90-minute mark, so we can't reply to everybody. I try to like everyone's tweet that I see come through, but genuinely, guys, trust me, like we appreciate all the opinions here. This is a great place to not only show us what you guys think, but there are a lot of Treyarch devs on Twitter too. I know a couple of them I'm mutuals with, so I'm sure maybe they'll look through here and see your stuff too. So even if you don't get featured here on Perkaholics Anonymous, continue to leave your comments underneath these posts, because I'm sure somebody somewhere at the great land over at Treyarch are scrolling through these threads, looking at all of your guys' personal opinions and thoughts on the game. And also, like, in a great situation like this where 85, 95, 99% of the comments here are very positive towards Ashes of the Damned, that's got to make them feel really good too after you have Black Ops 6 or other games or other maps or other updates where it's just nothing but logging on into the internet after a long day of work, seeing getting shit on. So definitely keep doing what you're doing. We appreciate all of you guys, but let's get over to a couple comments here.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Well said. All right, we're going to kick it off here with Skyte. He says, one of the best main quests in years, hoping there's a lot more side eggs or secrets in Curse. The map feels a little bit empty at the moment, but it might just be because we haven't discovered things yet. What do you think?
I think it's a pretty level-headed take there. Shout out to Skyte, one of the best Easter egg solvers of all time, Mr. Impossible Egg. I gotta agree with them. I do think that, like, if there's very minimal side eggs that come of this, that we could start getting into a situation where it's like, okay, like the Easter egg in 2-3 weeks, be like, okay, the Easter egg is really, really good. The wonder weapon's good. The map is good, but it feels a little bit hollow. The areas I feel very impactful because of the mechanics, like the perks and the different things that you do around for the Easter eggs in each area. But I would like to see something like the dragon wings, maybe giving you the ability to have free jump pads across the map after a certain point, or maybe do a side quest to those. We don't know. We haven't found them yet, so that could possibly be a thing. Maybe another fast travel from the very back side of the map to the front of the map would be really cool to see. A Klaus upgrade again, I'd be really asking for there, as well as some other small ones. I really, again, do want to shout out the Perkaholics Easter eggs that they've done for you, where you can pick up the items and craft the perks based on what their actual ingredients are. That's something that's like really lore in depth there, something I never would have thought of. It's a great side Easter egg. Hopefully, like I said, they continue to kind of fill up the rest of these areas with some more side Easter eggs that we just haven't discovered yet, because you've got the community so split right now between everyone being fatigued from one of the longest Easter egg hunts and modern zombies. You've got people that are still trying to beat the boss solo that can't beat the boss. You've got people in curse mode now that are looking for relics over there. So we're all kind of spread out right now. And I'm hoping within the next like week or so, maybe we start to find a few more side eggs or some bigger ones that kind of be like, okay, awesome. That's a really cool upgrade at the Cosmodrome for Klaus. Or over in the Blackwater Lake or at spawn, you shoot these things, or there's these different, like there's a small lockdown that you can start to get, free jump pads or something like that. So I totally agree with Skype though. Definitely one of, I will already say it right now, I think it's the best main quest in the modern era. Mauer Totens is really good, but I'm putting this, I'm a huge Mauer stan. I'm putting this over Mauer by leaps and bounds. This is definitely just an awesome Easter egg to experience, especially if you're in co-op.
Yeah, I think there are just a lot of side eggs that we haven't found yet, or they haven't been compiled, and a lot of people haven't got around to them yet. I think that this map has a lot to offer outside of just the main quest, which is what Treyarch usually goes for with those side eggs. So I think Skype makes a good point. While we're on that, kind of, hey, like in a perfect world, the sinful greed in me, like if I were to add anything to this map, it absolutely would be a Klaus upgrade. Maybe a Klaus upgrade that where he comes into the boss fight with you. Maybe. That'd be cool. He is out there Blackwater Lake and Tessie, you have to get into Tessie at the front right there. So that'd be interesting. Oh, and number 2, I would love to see, like I said, the greed in me here. I would love to see some sort of side quest where you put together, you find like pieces or parts for a parachute, and then you can equip it, and then you could parachute off of any jump pad and go, and you could go anywhere in the map. It's not just where the jump pad is going to take you. So if you hit the apex of the jump point and you could pull your parachute, I think that would honestly be sick as well, as far as just something to be a cool idea. Probably not in the map, but something that would be interesting as well. All right, let's keep it moving here. We're going over to Horrible Mercy. They say, honestly, it's the best map we've gotten since BO3/BO4. I long yearned for a map with unique mechanics to the map. Old Tessie has incredible atmosphere and art direction, an extremely intricate main quest, and a unique boss fight. There's very little I would criticize it for. I think that's right where me and you were at, MZC.
I'm in the same boat here. I'm not the biggest Black Ops 4 stan, so like a lot of the Easter eggs and just general game over there really soured with me as the game went on. I started out really hopeful for BO4. I liked all the maps. I beat them all. I've had fun with it, but like genuinely, it just didn't do it for me like Black Ops 3 did. Nothing has topped BO3 since, but I genuinely feel like this is right up there with some of the best BO4 quests. Is probably better than better than Alpha Omega for sure. Better than Togger Toten for me at least. Like classified, no Easter egg there. You could start to sit here and debate whether or not you want to talk about like Dead of the Night or Ancient Evil, because I know for a lot of people those are like top 3, top 5 maps of all time. But if the side Easter eggs are really, really good on this map, we find some really cool things like we just touched on with Skyte's comment. I'm really going to start thinking about pushing this map like really into those top 5 categories for me personally. Like I'm about to bump down Shangri-La a spot and give it number 5 if we got a Klaus upgrade, because 1, I'm a sucker for Klaus, and 2, just the, like Mercy said here, the art direction is fantastic. This is the best looking map that we've had, I think, in the modern era, genuinely. Like, last year we had some cool things. Like the tomb was cool for a little bit. You got to go inside of it, and you had the dark ether there, which was a really nice aesthetic. But just the overall map here, insane art direction. Like you said, the unique mechanics to Tessie. I was a little nervous there, and it blew my expectations out of the water. Insane main quest, and a unique boss fight that we had never seen before. I mean, that is the most unique boss fight I think we've seen in COD Zombies, period. And I'm all for it. I hope that this kind of creativity keeps up throughout the DLC season.
My biggest takeaway from that too is the more I think about Tessie and the more I play around with the Wonder Vehicle, for anybody out there who's not sold on it or not a huge fan of it, just play with it a little bit more. Go through its upgrades. It really did grow on me. Me and MZC were concerned about this from the outset of this game. The more you progress around the map, the more you get through the Easter egg, all the way from it being Pack-a-Punch to getting the DG2 turret to how it interacts with the clock tower and the boss fight, all the way through and through.
The crystals out in the middle
really
areas
is that
where
good.
You can get the Pack-a-Punch crystals or the ray gun, like just stuff like that, where it's just, it's...
You feel like this weird, like strange affinity and attachment to it by the time you're done with the boss fight, from starting from round 1 to putting Ted on it to all the way through the end of the boss fight, where it's like hey, we were talking about earlier with the communication, in the boss fight, even with some of the lapses of communication we had last night, like I would be on the turret for a round, then it would get repaired. Rapid would be on the turret and Mike would be on the turret. We had all these interchanging roles, but if you're in the vehicle, you could be impactful throughout the map. And it feels good. It feels amazing.
Absolutely.
All right. Following that up, back-to-back Mercy here. Horrible Mercy right into Mercy the Bird. No, didn't mean to do that, but we got a lot of Mercy going on here in the community corner, which we do appreciate. They say, the best map in the Dark Ether Saga by far. Beautiful scenery, amazing locations, and Old Tessie feels so fun to drive around in. I haven't even done the main quest, and it's a blast. I wanted to include this MZC because of that last line. There's people that are in love with the main quest. There's people that are in love with just the aura, the scenery, the feel, the setting. And there's a good crossover of, hey, this map could stand alone without the quest. This map obviously is amazing with the quest, but there's a lot of variety that appeals to a lot of people with Ashes of the Damned.
I'm in that same boat. I completely agree with your sentiment there. Like when the game first came out, I don't know if you remember this, but we were probably like 8 or 10 hours deep and we were just like thinking of stuff to do. I was going for the fireworks augments and you're like sweating Van Dorn Farm. And I'm like, dude, I just like, you gotta come out. You gotta come over here. You gotta come to Ash of the Dam. You gotta try it out. You're like, we're going to play it so much tomorrow. And I've already played it one time through. Like, I'm just trying to maximize my time here on Van Dorn Farm, which is like, I'm in the same boat. That's where I'm doing the camo grinding and whatnot. But it's just like one of those situations where it's like, I just want to play Ashes of the Damned. I just want to load into the map. I just want to go through the progression of taking Tessie around, going from the first few power locations to the middle of the map. It doesn't feel tedious. Like once you get to Pack-a-Punch, you're like, all right, hell yeah, we're about to pack here. I love being able to take Pack-a-Punch with you anywhere outside of just being, its own unique wonder vehicle. Like you can go to any POI and have a different experience or feel like you're playing a whole different map. Like it's just crazy how each area feels so different. Like think about Ashwood, right? It's on fire. There's no snow at all. But then the first two POIs are Janus Towers Plaza, where it's kind of like very dark ethery. Then you go through the forest over to Blackwater Lake and it's snowing. You feel like you're in this like frozen environment. And then the deeper you get into the map, it's like, okay, now it's just a regular old map again. So the diversity, I mean, farm, there's nothing going on in farm. It's completely warm. There's no snow. It's nothing. Just the diversity between POIs is, dude, they hit it. The aura. They complained about aura last year and they nailed it. So it's looking good.
Absolutely. All right, fourth and final here from Dincha. They say it's easily one of the best modern zombies maps. The aesthetics are amazing. The story and side quests like Dempsey's add real depth, and the unique feature like Old Tessie make the map and boss stand out. The main quest is a big step up, and the wonder weapon is great too. It feels like we're hitting on the same points here, but this was truly a lot of the comments underneath your post asking for community corner, questions, comments, thoughts, concerns, all of that. We're obviously taking a super positive approach to this map, guys. We feel like that is where, how we line up with this game and how the community is looking at it too as a whole. So we want to be able to highlight and illustrate that. But Old Tessie, people are big fans of for the most part. The side quests, getting into them, the characters, the depth, the backstory, the writing, it's all there. The quest, the wonder weapon. We didn't even really get into the Necrofluid Gauntlet all that much in this episode. That's how much depth this map really has, but it looks amazing. The interact is so unique. It's actually a good wonder weapon. It's actually a wonder weapon that you want at all stages of the map. You want it early. You want it training. You want it for high rounds. You want it for the boss fight. It's one of the best, and it's probably the most unique wonder weapon in the modern era of Call of Duty Zombies. It really is that good. You want to be able to acquire it. You want to be able to play with it. I just think that a lot of people are enjoying this map, even if there's not a huge volume, a huge density of people, playing it or getting through the egg, kind of like how we have spoken through so far in this episode. It just feels like the overall feelings toward Ash of the Dam really is in a good spot, even if it is just launch weekend so far.
We're on the same page. Everything, sometimes in these episodes we're kind of one opinion here, one opinion there, lining up in the middle sometimes, but like everybody I just feel like is for the most part on the same page. Obviously there's a lot of nerf the boss fights. That's where I disagree with the majority of the community, but like all these comments on Twitter are just straight up like very very great, love it, love Cursed. We didn't talk about Cursed today. Maybe we'll talk about that next week in the next episode when we get all the relics and everyone figures out all that stuff, so we get like the full in-depth Cursed experience. But yeah, man, I mean, they just I don't know. It feels good to have a map where like nobody is down on it. You know, the last time I feel like we felt this way was really launched of last year. You know, with Citadel, it was good. Everyone loved it, and then it died off very, very quickly. You go to the Tomb, and it was like 50-50 split, where some people were like, hey, I actually really like this, or I hate it, it's the worst thing ever, we're going down the shitter. Then Shattered Veil came out, and it was like pretty positive, but you know, not everyone was sold. And then Reckoning was like 50-50. It was like, hey, I like the gameplay, but I hate the story, or I just don't like it at all, period. So it's nice to have like a really good, no complaints. I don't see any, aside from like nerf the boss fight, I just don't see any complaints, which is exactly the spot I think Treyarch should really be in. Basically just complaining about difficulty at the end of the day, and that's really it. And I think that's a good problem to have if you're Treyarch. I'm really excited to see how they follow this up, not only with Astra Malorum coming, but like once we get all the curse relics and stuff and see how that mode is going to be hard as shit if you have all the disabilities going on there. So we'll see what happens. I know people probably want to know like our thoughts on cursed and whatnot. We're not going to cover that today, like I said, because we were just initial impressions of Ashes of the Damned. Next week's episode, or maybe even if like the people start finding the relics pretty quickly, maybe like Thursday or Friday, we could do like a pre-weekend pod where it's just kind of us talking about our experience with Curse throughout the week. But dude, the content's there, vibes are there, people are loving it. It's best case scenario in terms of a launch weekend. Again, this is back-to-back launch weekends that I think they've nailed. You know, last year obviously fell off a little bit, but you know, BO3's launch, some people like Shadows of Evil, some people didn't. Some people would prefer the Giant, right? Last year, I feel like everyone was like, hey, we got a really good launch here. BO4 was a bad launch. I feel like we're just back-to-back years of really, really good coming out of the gate strong. Hopefully it just stays that way throughout the year, and that's kind of my final take.
Yeah, my final thoughts here are load into the map, get into Tessie, upgrade it, drive it around, get the gauntlet, do every available TED task that you see, take a deep breath, go into the boss fight, try to beat it. If you're not successful, take a deep breath, try it again, or call up a couple of your buddies and just rinse and repeat. That's basically my lesson of the day from Perkaholics Anonymous podcast episode 21. It really is exciting. It's really that good. And yeah, I can't wait to see what we discover next as a community. I can't wait to see what Treyarch does next with Black Ops 7.
I'm right there with you. I'm ready to go. I'm not ready for the new map already. Thank God. There's a couple of weeks to kind of digest things. But like, I mean, if you really think about this before we go away, like think about this though. This new map comes out in what, 3 weeks? 3 weeks, True. Basically 3 weeks, 3.5 weeks. We get a new map already. Like, is that going to be enough time for us to really get through Cursed? Is that going to be enough time for us to do Directed? We're going to have to do Directed this year because they give you Easter egg skins. Like, you know how at the end you had the Dempsey reward is like the cleansed Dempsey. The Easter egg reward for Directed, I think, is cleansed Maya. So like, if you want all the skins, you're gonna have to go through. I didn't do Directed in all of them last year. I don't think I did one Directed Easter egg last year. So
me neither.
This year it's like, all right, I have some real incentive to go do that. I actually got something to play for now. So I mean, are we gonna be able to get through this in 3 weeks? All this content? I don't know. We're gonna see. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a grind. But this is a great problem to have, not only for us as content creators, but as Treyarch as well, being able to deliver just banger after banger right now in terms of like what's gonna come at launch. Hopefully, like I said, hopefully it stays that way.
Absolutely. Well said. All right, guys, if you've been here through the end of the episode, make sure you're hitting that like button. Make sure you subscribe, bell notification on so you don't miss any content from MZC upcoming. If you need help with the boss fight, if you need help with the Easter egg, go on his channel right now. Look through some of the uploads that he's already put out this weekend for Ashes of the Damned. If you're struggling with any of this stuff, he's put up in-depth, detailed, high-level guides on how to get through all this stuff and how to have a good time doing it. We wish we could stay with you longer here tonight, but we're ending this right now because we're going and hopping into Ashes of the Damned. So we will see you guys in the next one. Stay safe, stay hydrated, and we'll catch you.